racing against Sebastian Loeb, Carlos Sainz, Nico Rosberg, Zach Brown.
Vettel as well, right?
Raced against Vettel, yeah. Race of Champions in lockdown. There's not many rally driving jobs available, so that was maybe it on my driving career.
Over.
I mean, I was trying everything, but there wasn't a lot on the table, and then had an email inquiry from Nico Rosberg, which I thought was a prank, because who gets that? And that started the whole Extreme E journey, which completely changed the course of my career.
Those vehicles are off the scale. I mean, you're airborne for almost longer than you are on the ground.
So you have these crazy tracks doing like rallycross style, so you're racing all head to head with other cars on the track. The races are short, you don't have a lot of time to learn the track. It's absolutely wild and so much fun.
Perilously close to the flags, anything can happen, as we've seen.
What goes through your head when you're completely lost control?
I can't remember how many times we rolled, but it kind of came a bit out of nowhere. Just that uncertainty when you're in the air for what feels like a really long time, and you know that there's going to be a bang really soon, and you don't kind of know where or how hard it's going to be. It's not a nice feeling at all.
Molly Taylor is okay.
I think my proudest achievement would be winning the Extreme H. Every detail had to be right, and just the pressure and intensity of that whole week, you know, for it all to come together, it just was surreal. Yeah, that's a feeling I'll never ever forget.
From the dust of the Dakar to the drums of the stadium, she didn't just break the mould, she broke records.
She's finished the Dakar Rally not once but twice. She was the 2021 Extreme E champion, 2016 Australian Rally champion, came third in the Junior World Rally Championship, and in 2025 she took home the FIA Extreme H World Cup trophy.
And now it's time to meet the paragon of the podium, the mechanic behind the Mad Garage. Buckle up, this is Idle Talk. Molly Taylor, welcome to Idle Talk.
Welcome to the Mad Garage. When I heard you were coming, I thought we better pick out a pretty special car for this one.
This is sick. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So my old man had one of these back in the day when I was a kid, and it was such a cool, different, interesting car. You know, it's got the four-wheel drive that you could lock it in. He loved it for going off-road. They're super lightweight. What made you decide to buy this car?
Well, it was on the side of the road, looking very sad. And as you say, I think these are one of the most iconic ute, I think. Everywhere really you drive this car, it just is the people's favourite. And when we saw it, it wasn't a very long discussion.
It was
it was straight away, we need this car. And so glad we did. It's had a bit of a birthday since then.
Yeah, it's in absolute beautiful nick. The houndstooth on these seats is just
beautiful,
lovely.
Isn't it?
Yeah, they're comfortable.
Traditional beige.
Yeah. So what year are we talking?
1989.
89, nice. And
look, the brakes work.
The brakes are good. So it's obviously been given a refurbish. Now, I may have spotted this has got a 1.8 boxer engine in it. It's probably got like 50 kilowatts, probably couldn't pull the skin off custard.
Probably.
But I did see a high-performance engine in the Mad Garage. Talk me through that.
Oh, I mean, that's been the question since we bought this car. It's so beautiful. Mechanically, we haven't done anything to it, so it's pretty secondhand. It's very close to hitting 400,000 kilometres. So we've done a bit of work to the exterior, to the interior. And the idea, we don't want to do anything before it hits 400,000 Ks. Gotcha. But it's always been in the back of our minds, it'll be a fun project car. And we've seen a lot of WRX swaps in these cars.
Yes.
We do have a WRX STI engine in the workshop.
Mate.
So it's very tempting, but it's very hard to kind of adulter this car in its pristine original condition, because it's such a sweet example. And it's amazing. We haven't done anything to it mechanically, but we've driven it from Sydney to Melbourne. Yep. Didn't miss a beat the whole time. Everything
and this is
we've
all
done.
original.
All original.
It's incredible. This car is also under 1,000 kilograms. So
it is so light.
If you were to put a WRX STI engine in this vehicle, it would be fast.
Or you could put a definite rear-wheel drive and it could be very sideways.
That reminds me, the latest Gymkhana video that uses the Subaru Brumby, which they call the Subaru Brat in the USA.
Yes.
Now, that is an extreme version of this vehicle.
Very true. I mean, that would be money no object, the dream, but unfortunately for us at the Mad Garage, money is an object.
Yes. But yeah, there's certainly that whole idea of could make an absolute weapon out of it. Yes. But it's such a lovely, charming car.
So we should probably get another one so we can do both.
That's a great idea. There you go. Problem solved. So the question everyone's dying to know is, Have you ever cheated while go-karting? Asking for a friend.
The closest I've been was we were at one of the new Power Play electric indoor karts,
yes.
which is actually started by a bunch of rally people
Nice.
over in WA. And I was there with Cody Crocker, who's multiple Australian champion, Asia Pacific champion.
Can drive.
Yes. And we were having a bit of a battle, and we were, 15 minutes into the 20-minute session, or maybe 18 minutes into it, and it was nearing the end, and I was up, but it was, every lap we would just take over. One person was leading and the other person was leading.
Oh, it was like a dogfight.
I may have spun to block the track.
Ollie.
To end the session early.
Oh!
When I was on top.
When you're in front. Oh, I love it. So no sneaky overtaking under yellow lights, yellow flags.
No,
like
just tried to, we at that point was fastest by 0.000 whatever it was.
Wow.
And I may have sabotaged the rest of the session. Because I'm sure Cody would have hit me on the next lap.
Looking forward to going go-karting with you one day. That should be fun. Changing tack a little. Who is the most famous person you've ever met?
The most famous? Well, it's got to go with Extreme E, because there was a whole paddock of incredibly famous people and motorsport icons. Racing against Sebastian Loeb, Carlos Sainz, like Nico Rosberg, Zach Brown.
Vettel as well, right?
Race against Vettel, Race of Champions. So I'm going to sound like a huge name dropper, but those sort of moments were pretty incredible.
What about outside of motorsport? Do you ever get to rub shoulders with, Hollywood celebrities or anything like that?
I don't think, rallying is definitely not as glamorous as Formula One. So maybe sometimes, we are at the Formula One, the Grand Prix, and on the grid walk and things like that, you see famous
Katy
people.
Perry walks past or whatever.
You see someone very famous from a distance. But I think, that's the good thing about, particularly motorsport in general, but particularly rally, is it always keeps you very grounded, because no matter how much of a hot shot you think you are, then you're still rolling around in the dirt trying to fix a car on the side of the road and no one's coming to help. So,
which is what's fascinating about the sport. It's you have to know how to fix your car, because if you run into a problem, especially in things like Dakar, which you've competed in twice. You can be in the middle of nowhere and you've got to fix that problem.
Yes,
right?
Until you can get the car back to the service park where all the crew are, it's you and your co-driver and whatever you've got with you to try and figure it out. So I would say my bush mechanic skills are probably better than my actual mechanic skills.
Right.
I couldn't rebuild a gearbox for you, but I could fix surprisingly amount of broken things on the side of the road with random bits of equipment.
So on the tools, you're not too bad.
I enjoy. I think it's a good. For us, as you say, it's important if you have a problem to be able to keep yourself in the race. But I think also just in general, from a driving perspective, to have that mechanical understanding to look after the car, but also to be able to try and get the most out of it. The more you understand what's going on and how you can correlate that to what you're feeling and what inputs you need to give, I think it makes you a better driver. It's not always critical, and there's definitely people that are a lot more knowledgeable on that side than I am. But I think having a robust understanding is really important.
So I guess in F1, for instance, you've got a mechanic saying the tyres are doing this or the gearbox back off, whereas you're just going seat of the pants. You're feeling that the steering's getting a bit woolly. I better not do, if I can dial that back or those sort of elements.
Yeah, we have a lot of sensors and data and cool stuff, particularly in Extreme H now.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of sensors. We have active dampers and all these incredible things. So there's a lot of input you can look at and work through. But I think also it's trying to work out, particularly for us, it's not like on a circuit, the braking points. You have a pretty good understanding of what the grip's going to be every corner, and you can kind of optimize and work out what the best setup is based on all these more controllable factors. In the dirt, the grip is different every corner, even if it's the same track. The road conditions are changing and evolving every time. So you need to be able to find a setup that you can work around, almost what you can be comfortable with, so you can adapt to all the other things. So it's this real mix of art and science.
You're so in the moment.
Yes.
You're so completely present and mindful about what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah. You have to be. I think if you're kind of thinking about it too much, there's no way you can be fast enough, because the way you need to react has to happen faster than you can always think about it. So it's always hard to get in that zone, but that's where you need to be. And the annoying part is if you're in that flow and rhythm and it's all happening, most of the time you don't really remember it. So it's very hard to then go, just do what you did last time. Like, I don't know what I did last time. It just happened.
Yeah. It's been 5 years since you were a contestant on the military day spa that is SAS Australia. You recovered yet?
Yeah, I think so.
It looked brutal.
Yeah, I don't like going, I've never liked going for a long time without food, but I'm much more diligent about travelling with snacks, I reckon, since doing that. Like to stay warm. But it was an amazing experience. Like horrible to, I guess, push yourself, be that uncomfortable, but an amazing thing to do and learn about yourself.
Yeah. It looked grueling. It looked savage.
It was the most savage thing I've ever done. I think, we'll ever do. You really push to your limits, and not just for when the cameras are rolling. It was like that 24/7.
Right. You made it to the final episode of that TV show. It felt to me like you probably could have walked away with the silverware. I mean, what did you learn from the experience?
So close. Yeah, I mean, to make it to the final day, and not the final part of the final day, but yeah, I mean, at that point I was starting to get hypothermia, and was kind of like physically the smallest one left. So I was definitely like the one that was contributing the least at that point. But yeah, I'm proud of myself to have made it through the finals, and literally pushed myself to the point where my body was giving up, which is cool to be able to get through all the mental hurdles you normally get to before you reach that spot. Normally you stop for a variety of reasons before you get to that point. So to be able to go through all that experience, meet some friends for life, and just do something that in no other walk of life you would ever have the opportunity to test yourself, and just the appreciation for what those guys and girls do for it. Like, just, we were doing it and it was horrible, and, you're testing yourself, but it's just, it was just for TV at the end of the day. It wasn't a real war zone. So God, it really, I think coming out of that, it just puts everything into perspective. You come home, you have a warm shower. Has it been the worst day, has it?
I want to ask a question about how you got started in motorsport. Now, it's my understanding that your grandfather competed in the 1979 Repco Round Australia trial, and your mother was his co-driver. Is that true? Do I have my research correct?
When my mum was, I think, 18,
wow.
My granddad said, come do this rally with me.
And that was her first?
That's how she started. So they rallied together for a while, and I mean, I don't know if my granddad ever finished a rally he started, to be honest. He was very wild.
He planted the seed though, right?
But he planted the seed, and then I think, I don't know so much about his talent, but I think Mum certainly had a talent, and then that, obviously led to her doing that full time as her job, and that's how my parents met.
Your mother has so many accolades. 5 Australian Rally Championships, holds the record for the most wins of rallying in Australia, and was inducted into the Aussie Motorsport Hall of Fame. She
still holds
incredible.
the bragging rights, to be honest. I've still got some work to do.
Was there pressure? Was there an expectation that you or your sister had to get into this?
No, we didn't start until I was getting my license for the road, and my dad was running a rally school on the weekends. And he got my sister and me to go out to the rally school just to learn how to drive manual, how to have a bit of car control, purely from a driver training perspective. He didn't want us to be kind of learning how to drive a car whilst learning how to drive on an open road. And so we went to the rally school, and then that was, after watching and growing up watching it, that was my first experience being behind the wheel on a rally car. And then it was kind of, I don't know why it took so long for the penny to drop, but when I finally had a drive, I was like, oh, this is awesome.
This is fun.
Yeah, and then it sort of snowballed from there. But yeah, as a younger kid growing up, never really had much of an interest in driving myself.
And they weren't pushy parents?
No, not at all. I think they both know how hard motorsport is, and the road and the highs and lows and the commitment and passion that you need. And if that's something that's pushed externally, it's very, very hard, for that to see you through. It has to come from within, and has to kind of be sparked organically, I think, for you to, have the right passion and commitment to go through the rest of the journey that's ahead if you want to make it.
There's very few motorsport journeys that are like, it was pretty easy. I just slid in there and started winning championships.
Exactly. Yeah.
Smooth sailing.
I think probably the biggest thing is I never grew up thinking that women in motorsport wasn't a thing. or couldn't be a thing, and you couldn't have a professional career. So I think just that subtle leading by example. She would never really be the person to go on about any of that stuff, but just to be there watching her as a professional, seeing what it takes, seeing, you know, Dad dropping us to school when Mum was away, competing across the world. And for that just to be a normal family growing up, just, I think, really changed my perspective. There was probably barriers that people subconsciously see just from the way our world's set up that I didn't have. So I think I'll be really grateful forever for having a role model like that was just about being good at your job and being passionate about your job, and whatever that was kind of irrelevant.
So that psychological glass ceiling that
Yes.
probably is there for a lot of female competitors simply wasn't there for you because Mum was there smashing it.
Yeah, she's like, well, it's possible, it's a thing. And for her, it's never been about showing what a woman can do. She was just like, this is awesome. I want to be the best person there.
Did your mum ever give you pace notes instead of homework when you were a kid?
It's so funny because, I mean, pace notes are a very individual thing.
Yes.
And Mum, when I started rally, my pace notes are very different to the notes that her and Neil and she's sort of done for most of her career. So there was always a bit of jabbing each way about who thought their notes were better than the other person.
Like, what does that even mean?
Exactly. I don't know how you do that. And then I'm saying the same thing back.
Have you ever competed against your mother or anyone else in your family?
Yeah, I've competed in many events against my mother, not quite in the same category of car, but we've done a few events together as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, with her co-driving. So that...
What's that like? Amazing or scary or like...
Interesting. I mean, in the car, professionally calling the notes, she's the best you'll get.
Yeah.
The dynamic of mother-daughter, I don't think is sustainable in the car. That's all I'm going to say. And mostly probably to my fault, not hers.
Yeah. Just for the record, we've got windows down. There's no aircon in the Subaru Brumby. So if the audio's changed a little bit, and
we tried to hold off as long as we could.
Sorry, we can't help it. Is getting sponsors on board one of the most important things, and do you need to have a certain level of business acumen that goes along with that?
I think it's important to think about motorsport like a business. You know, we all start because we have this passion for driving and racing and competing and seeing how fast we can make a car go. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, that's a very selfish pursuit in its isolation. So motorsport is a business. It's, you know, proving that concepts work. It's testing new equipment. It's providing entertainment. So you need to be able to be adding value through your driving. So I think it's it's very important to look at it as a business at the end of the day, because that's what it is. And you love doing what you do as well, but it's got to work, and it's just very expensive to do. It's a lot of resources. So you need to be able to have that for however you can get it. I mean, we know there's a lot of people in motorsport that come from a lot of money, and that's certainly a very common pathway because it is so expensive, but it's not the only way.
Yeah. I mean, and the flip side of that is you can be the world's most talented driver and you may not ever make it to the upper echelons.
Yes.
Because you cannot bring that extra financial muscle with you.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it is a learned sport. It's not like being a marathon runner where, you know, you've got the genetics for it and then of course a whole lot of hard work, but in motorsport you of course need the talent, but it's a skill. You know, if you can be in the car every weekend and you have a level of aptitude, you know, you can get to a level that's as good or better than someone who has natural talent and in a car once every few months. It's the way it is. So it's all about trying to find opportunities to be behind a car, try and prepare outside the car as much as you can, and also about being really adaptable when you get in the car to just use that precious time you have to do a good job.
What's one of the craziest things that's ever happened in your life, apart from falling in love with Dan Gardner?
Yeah, it probably takes the cake. Oh gosh. I think for me probably the craziest thing was in lockdown. You know, we had COVID. Before that we had a full-time Subaru factory rally team. We didn't have the rally program anymore. So I didn't really know. I thought at that point there's not many rally driving jobs available. So, you know, I thought that was maybe it on my driving career.
Over?
Yeah, I had no sort of options. I mean, I was trying everything, but there wasn't a lot on the table. And then through my website, had an email inquiry from Nico Rosberg, which I thought was a prank because who gets that?
Nico Rosberg emails you out of the blue.
Yeah.
Wow.
And asked to have a FaceTime call, and I was like, sure. I'm not really expecting him to turn up on the call, but he did.
Incredible. Yeah.
And that started the whole Extreme E journey, which completely changed the course of my career and all the opportunities that come off from that. So, that will be it for sure.
Speaking of Extreme E, those vehicles are off the scale. What's it like driving this thing with instant torque? I mean, you're on some of these tracks, these courses, you're airborne for almost longer than you are on the ground.
Yeah, the tracks are wild. I mean, the whole idea is being called Extreme E, and they wanted to make it as extreme as possible. So you have these crazy tracks, these huge 2-ton, and now the Extreme H car is almost 2.5-ton.
Wow.
Off-road, all electric and hydrogen, huge jumps, doing like rallycross style, so you're racing all head-to-head with other cars on the track, in the mud, in the dirt.
I love that.
It's absolutely wild and mental, but so much fun. It's such a thrill, such a challenge, because the races are short, you don't have a lot of time to learn the track. The track changes a lot, so you basically have 2 laps of a 3K track to try and figure out how to be the fastest on it. So it's a huge challenge, but it's really rewarding and really, it's really fun to be with a group of people that are trying to change the game and try something new and experiment and just be part of that whole process.
Yeah, very innovative, very different.
Yes, yeah.
But still, like as a spectator, it is so good to watch.
Yes, and that's the point. We want to not only show what these technologies can do, how to push them to their limits and learn from that, but also how to make something that people want to be involved in and people want to see and people want to then learn about what we're doing and why we're doing it, and not be passive kind of, I guess, in this whole, not necessarily a debate of, electric versus ice versus hydrogen, but just like, these are all the technologies, we need to explore them all and push them all and see what technologies work well, and it's just cool to be part of all of that. Yeah,
definitely. Tell us a little bit about Drive Like a Girl. This is a documentary that came out, was it 2025? Late 2025?
Yes.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about this homegrown documentary.
Yeah, well, a mate of ours, Sean Lander, who we do a lot with our YouTube channel and those sort of things, we had this idea a while ago. It would be really good when we did the 2024 Australian Rally Championship season. We kind of ran it from our workshop, pulled all the partners together, bunch of mates, and kind of this homegrown, let's get the passion for rallying and let's get back out on the stages, whatever it takes. And we wanted to document it, to not only show just how cool rally is as a sport. So that was the idea, and we kind of started out, and then we realised we bit off way more than we can chew.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it was, there's quite a lot goes into making a documentary, it turns out.
Yes.
But we're really proud to be able to put together just a little insight into, I guess, not just my story, but the whole idea of, why whole groups of people are so passionate about the sport, the team it takes, the challenges, the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
It's not all positive, is it? There's often some really challenging elements.
Yes, There's, I think in motorsport, if you averaged out the highs and lows, there's more lows.
Wow,
for sure.
that's
but
telling.
The highs are just really good. You forget about the lows pretty quickly.
Yeah, you push through those.
Exactly.
Yeah. You see this in NASCAR sometimes. Have you ever gotten into a fight after a race? Verbal or physical? No,
I'm terrible at confrontation.
Okay.
No, I can't say. I mean, rally is actually very different because you're racing against the clock, not each other.
Yeah.
It doesn't breed that sort of drama.
Panels.
Yeah, Extreme E, there's been a few clashes which have been interesting.
Ooh.
But no, never a full blow down. But I'm just terrible with confrontation like that anyway. Even if I'd wanted to in a few times. Been pretty angry a few times, but yeah, never followed through.
What's an average day in the life of Molly Taylor like?
Oh, it's impossible to sort of, I guess, have a day that's the same as
there
the
is
other.
No
it really
average
depends.
Day.
I would say 50% of the time on the road, 50%, or probably 60% of the time on the road at least.
Yep.
The rest of the home, we've got our workshop, so we spend a lot of time in there.
Yep.
Obviously preparing for the drive-in side, doing the TV work with Supercars and Channel 7.
Yeah.
do a lot of corporate speaking as well. We're working on our YouTube channel, trying to kind of run the business behind all of that. So yeah, there's a lot.
So you're busy.
A lot going
Let's
on.
put it that way.
We're busy, but I love it like that.
Proudest achievement in motorsport?
I think my proudest achievement would be winning the Extreme H world title.
That was last year, right?
Yeah,
that was
last
2025.
year. Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest title. I mean, we ran the Extreme E Championship as well, and the Australian Championship. But I think, like, the World Cup was so unknown. These cars were completely new. It all kind of, I mean, it had been in the works for a long time, but it all came together in the end very quickly. Not a lot of time, you know, maybe you'd done 15, 20 minutes of driving in that car before you're in a final and you have new formats you've never done before. You know, every detail had to be right, and just the pressure and intensity of that whole week was just insane. And then, you know, for it all to come together, it just was surreal. So yeah, I think that was me.
So a lot of euphoria, a lot of elation.
Yeah, I was funny. I did the second stint, so I crossed the line. And I crossed the line and was like, you know, ecstatic and so much energy, and then kind of slowed down to go into the pits, and then just started bawling my eyes out. I don't know where it came from. I think just that, how much it meant in that release. And then when I was watching the footage back, my teammate Kevin Hansen did exactly the same thing. And then when I hopped out of the car and ran over to him, we both just sat there like,
tears of joy.
Yeah, it was. And it was really, you know, having that level of emotion, I think just shows how much you put into it, how much it means, and yeah, that when it all came together, because so often you have disappointment in motorsport, and so when you like that all happens, it just that's a feeling I'll never ever forget.
That's beautifully described. That's really lovely. Yeah. So rally racing is in your blood, and speaking of blood, have you? Well, I know you've had some pretty bad crashes. I've seen them in the rally. What? Talk us through the worst one or a really scary one. Like, what goes through your head when you're completely lost control, and how fast are we talking?
Yeah, probably the worst crash I've had was quite recently, actually, in Extreme E. When I can't remember how many times we rolled, but it was it was enough, and it kind of came a bit out of nowhere. And just especially when you're in a car that big, the forces are huge, and it kind of like almost spirals more out of control once it gets going. So I think just that uncertainty when you're in the air for what feels like a really long time, and you know that there's going to be a bang really soon, and you don't kind of know where or how hard it's going to be. It's not a nice feeling at all. So the cars grabbed the wheel, flipped you up, and you're spinning through the air. Yeah.
Oh God.
So yeah, the car was in a pretty bad way after that. But I think the incredible thing is I went to the hospital to be checked out because my arm was a bit sore because I'd actually bent the steering wheel. But yeah, had x-rays, totally fine. And then if we'd got the car ready in time, I would have been back in the car that afternoon. But we were there in the car the next morning, and then crossed the line first in the next race the next day. So it's pretty incredible to go through what looks from the outside like the craziest thing you've ever seen, and it's not pleasant inside, but touch wood. They're built for those scenarios, and they're so strong. The roll cages, the safety cages, like they are incredible. Exactly.
What's the worst car you've ever driven?
The worst car
I've ever driven?
Was
it the first car you've ever driven?
Probably. My first rally car was a Holden Gemini.
A Holden Gemini.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think that it's very endearing, but
that's a nice way to say it's a shitbox.
Probably wouldn't. I'd be all right if I never drove it again. Yeah.
Any particular quirks about it that you remember?
Well, only when it did a head gasket, and then I filled it up with water. Ooh. And then the engine blew up.
Okay.
So that, that didn't go so well for me.
No. Fair enough. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. It's held up really well. The fuel gauge has not moved the whole time.
Incredible.
The only mechanical thing we have changed on this car is the fuel pump. A few months ago, it would just die, and then you could hit it with a hammer and it would start again.
Oh, so you carried a hammer. That was the...
But there was too many times of us on the side of the road under the car whacking it that we're like, we should probably just change the fuel pump.
It's time for a new one.
And since then...
It's great.
It's great.
Where do you source a fuel pump for a 1989 Subaru Brat, a Subaru Brumby?
Super cheap auto.
course. Tape deck.
Yeah, God, I wouldn't.
Cassette.
Would you have it? 'Cause don't think I've ever even tried that.
I think I might have one at home. I do love analog audio though.
It's amazing.
There's a
isn't
certain richness to it.
it? Now, the only problem is in tight spots.
Oh yeah, no
you do
power
notice
steering.
the no power steering.
How's the turning circle?
It could be. Yeah, I mean, this car has a lot of highlights, and that wouldn't be the bit you would focus on. But it's not terrible. Oh, see?
Look at
Who
this.
needs reverse cameras these days?
Straight
Let's
into
go
the
to hear a
garage. Yeah.
Home sweet home. Thank you.
Having spent some time in it, as much as I would love to see this with an STI engine, part of me loves this.
It's nice, isn't it?
The sound and the cadence of the engine.
Yep.
It's just chilled.
Yeah.
It's just,
Well, in 44 kilometres, it will be at 400,000.
look at that. All right, we're getting a shot of that.
Yeah.
This is our final pit stop lightning round. You can pass on the questions if you wish. Are you ready?
I think.
Okay. Long drive or short trip?
Short trip.
Manual or auto?
Manual.
Sports car or SUV?
Sports car.
Petrol or diesel?
Petrol.
Hybrid or EV?
EV.
Cruise control or old school foot control?
Oh, cruise control's pretty handy.
Fresh air or recirculated air?
Fresh.
Fast lane or slow lane?
Fast lane.
Calm or impatient?
Impatient.
City roads or country roads?
Country roads.
Windows down or AC on?
AC on. I feel we've just done a whole thing with our
we
windows
had
down and
no
AC on
AC. Oh.
and no cruise control. But for driving around, I'm going to pick AC cruise control.
Love the Brumby, but yeah, maybe some retrofitted aircon.
Yep.
Anyway, music, podcast or ambient noise?
Podcast.
Nice. Driver or passenger?
Oh, it depends where.
Ooh.
Yeah. If it's just getting from A to B, passenger, quite happy to chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's Dan like as a driver?
He's good.
Yeah.
I was going to say something.
Correct answer.
I was going to make a joke, but no, I'm very comfortable with him driving, and I can just chill out or check my emails or something.
Molly Taylor, it's been an absolute pleasure. That's been wonderful.
Thanks. It's been great to have you here. Welcome anytime.
Thank you. And one last thing. It's time to plug your latest ventures. Camera here, here, and here. Go for your life.
Mad Garage. Follow our YouTube and socials at the Mad Garage, our documentary Drive Like a Girl, and the upcoming Extreme H season.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching. And don't forget to... Molly, is that what I think it is?
That's one of the BRZs from Race of Champions.
Can I drive it?
I think we should race it.
You're on.
Time trial.
Stay tuned for that video.
Can I come?
Yes, you can.